All right, let's jump right into this incredible cinematic explainer. We're going to break down an absolutely mind-blowing zero-to-hero story of rebirth, intense business battles, and ultimate redemption. It's a fascinating manhwa-style narrative that really asks the question, what would you actually do if you were handed a second chance to fix your darkest mistakes? So the story actually kicks off at the very end of a pretty miserable life. Our main character, Lee, is dying an incredibly painful death from a kidney disease called uremia. Now, in this past life, he eventually built up a massive fortune, but honestly, it was way too late. His history as a really despicable gambling addict directly led to his wife, Linwan, and his little daughter, Dudu, burning alive in a house fire set by his loan sharks. He's welcoming this agonizing death as penance, thinking it might finally bring their souls some peace. But then, we get the ultimate cliffhanger. He opens his eyes and he's right back in the 1980s, sitting in his old, freezing, moldy hut. And his wife and daughter? They're alive. They're shivering in the cold, and they are absolutely terrified of him. Section 1. A second chance at life. So Lalai has been reborn, but there is literally no time to celebrate here, because the immediate threat from his past life is basically kicking down his door. A massive, dangerous loan shark named Wang Biao busts in, demanding a 5,000 rupee gambling debt, and he threatens to just take his wife if Lalai can't pay up. Desperate, Lalai begs for just 3 days to get the cash. Now, the contrast here is just striking. Past life Lee was, well, a total coward. Reborn Lee, though, he's driven by this sheer, crushing guilt and a desperate determination to save his family. Plus, he's got a brand new superpower, his knowledge of the future. He remembers this treacherous mountain cliff where these super rare 50-year-old Lingji mushrooms grow. So, risking a deadly fall, with his hands bleeding and his clothes completely torn up, he manages to harvest them and sells them to a city medicine shop for 4,000 rupees. It is his very first crucial step towards survival. 3 days later, Wang Biao returns, and he brings a bunch of thugs to demolish the house and drag Linwan away. But Lee is totally ready for him. And he doesn't just try to fight with his fists, he fights with pure information. Lee pulls out a notebook packed with the exact details of Wang Biao's illegal casino cheats. We're talking magnet tables, marked cards, all the dirty secrets he learned in his past life. He times this reveal perfectly with the arrival of the police, handing over the ultimate smoking gun. Wang Biao gets dragged away in handcuffs, and that terrifying grip he had on Lee's family is finally permanently broken. But hey, the challenges don't just stop there. That very night, his little girl, Dudu, spikes a dangerously high fever. It hits 104 degrees. With absolutely no transportation around, Lin just straps her to his back and sprints 10 miles in pitch darkness over these incredibly rough, thorny mountain paths to get to the nearest clinic. His feet are covered in blisters, his hands are bloody, but he refuses to stop. He saves her life. And for the very first time in their 3 years of a truly miserable marriage, Lin Wan looks at him and whispers a hesitant, "Thank you." Section 2, Building the Produce Empire. Okay, so Lin has survived the immediate danger, but survival isn't the endgame. He promised to give his family the best life possible, so he moved to his next major trial, building a massive war chest. He teams up with his energetic childhood friend, Zhao Qing, to ride the wave of the 1980s economic boom by selling completely undervalued village produce to high-end city restaurants. Now, building an empire takes time, but Lee knows that trust is everything. He starts paying the villagers premium cash right up front for their native chickens and wild mushrooms. In just one night in the city, they pull a massive 300 rupee profit. Fast forward 1 month, and that scales to over 2,000 rupees. And honestly, the most beautiful part of all this growth, seeing Lee's honest, grueling hard work, Linwan's hatred actually starts to fade. She steps in to manage their accounting. They're finally starting to look and act like a real, functioning family. But as always, huge success attracts some serious enemies. A ruthless local transport thug named Sun Dao Wong starts destroying their carts and physically blocking their routes. But this is where Lee's tactical brilliance really shines. First, instead of backing down, Lee fully compensates the villagers for their destroyed goods right out of his own pocket, which cements their absolute loyalty to him. Second, he unites all the small merchants into an alliance using a secret safe transport route. And third, this is the absolute knockout punch. He uses his future knowledge to bypass Sun entirely, locking down a massive long-term contract with a government food processing factory. Sun Dawang is left completely powerless. 8,000 rupees. That is the massive sum of cash Lee eventually pays to buy a gorgeous 2-story courtyard home in the city. moving his family out of the slums for good. But you know what? The true victory isn't the real estate. It's the moment they finally sit down for dinner in that new house, and his daughter, who used to be absolutely terrified of him, finally looks up at him and sweetly calls him Papa. Section 3. Winning the Clothing War. Having secured that foundation, Lee realizes that farming has a pretty strict profit ceiling. He needs to scale, and scale massively. So he pivots straight into the 1980s clothing industry, becoming the lead designer by just relying on his flawless memory of future fashion trends. He opens up a factory, but guess who shows up? His old enemy Sun Da-wong strikes again, bribing workers to steal Lin's designs and totally flooding the market with these cheap, terrible copies. But Lin's counterattack is basically a masterclass. First, he rebrands, registering the premium Vando brand, which is actually named after Lin Wan and Dudu, and he targets high-end malls. Then, he intentionally leaks these incredibly beautiful but structurally flawed designs right to Sun's spies. Sun mass-produces them under his own name, and the clothes literally start falling apart on the customers. The government raids Sun's factory, and the villain goes to prison permanently. Game over. The Vando brand absolutely explodes after that. We're talking 100,000 rupees in pure monthly profit. The factory expands to over 100 workers. Linda has officially built a legitimate, undeniable empire. But then, a massive media crisis hits. These cunning reporters show up at the factory, actively trying to dig up Lee's shady past and his forced marriage to Lin Wan, just trying to destroy his reputation. Right as the trap is closing on him, Lin Wan steps out. She delivers this incredibly powerful, super public defense of her husband, basically telling reporters that, yeah, his past was flawed, but his dedication now is miraculous. Her genuine love turns what was supposed to be a total hit piece into a massive, inspiring PR victory that skyrockets their brand's popularity all across the nation. So Lee's life seems absolutely perfect now, right? He even drops 500,000 rupees to build a brand new school just so Dudu can get the best possible education. But then we hit a massive plot twist. He starts experiencing terrible dizziness, and out of nowhere, he collapses right there in his office. Section 4. A race against time. The heartbreaking reality is finally revealed at the hospital. The uremia, that exact same terrible kidney disease that slowly killed him in his previous life, has somehow followed him into this one. The doctor gives him a really grim prognosis. He has, at the absolute most, 2 years to live if he doesn't stop working immediately. The evolution of his character here is just profound. In his past life, he died completely alone, hated by everyone, literally laughing like a maniac in total despair. But this time, he keeps the terminal timeline a total secret from Lin Wan to protect her from the pain. He steps right down from running the company, hands operations over to Zhao Qiang, and focuses entirely on just cherishing every single remaining day with his family, all while urgently rushing to build a legacy to save his soul. And that legacy is the Vando's Charity Foundation. Remembering exactly how Lin Wan originally came to their poor village to teach and escape her own poverty, Lin invests a massive 20 lakh rupees, which is the equivalent of $2 million, to fully fund the education of underprivileged mountain girls. With incredibly strict audits in place and Lin Wan proudly serving as president, they set out to permanently change the fate of girls who were just as helpless as Lin Wan once was. The staggering impact of this decision scales so rapidly. Starting with an initial batch of 50 girls, the foundation just explodes, 500, then 5,000, ultimately reaching over 15,000 girls over the years. To put that into perspective, Lee totally transforms in the eyes of the public. He goes from being a despised village gambler to a renowned, award-winning national philanthropist. But he knows his time is rapidly running out. Section 5. Ultimate Redemption and Peace. We jump 10 years forward. Dudu has grown up into this brilliant young woman getting ready for her university entrance exams, but Liz's body finally just gives out. He collapses from total kidney failure and actually falls into a coma for 3 straight days. When he finally wakes up, the secret is completely out. Lin Wan is furious, she's heartbroken, and she fiercely insists on giving him one of her own kidneys. But Lee adamantly refuses. There is absolutely no way he is going to let the woman he has spent his entire second life protecting risk her own life for his. It really is the ultimate proof of his absolute, selfless transformation. Just when all hope seems entirely lost, a literal miracle happens. The hospital finds a perfect match from a tragic car accident donor, and the transplant is a total success.
Given a true final lease on life, Lee and Linwan make a monumental decision together, believing it's just so much better to use their wealth for something genuinely great rather than letting it rot in a bank. They donate the vast majority of their highly valuable corporate shares directly to the charity foundation. This ensures it's going to run eternally and keep saving lives long, long after they are gone.
The story resolves so beautifully here. Dudu graduates from a top-tier university and actually joins UNICEF to continue her parents' legacy over in Africa. And on New Year's Eve, Lai and Linwan drive all the way back to their old village. They stand together in front of a monument, this stone placed exactly on the site of their old, burnt-down hut. Linwan looks at him and tells him that he has successfully turned her hell into a paradise. He is, finally and completely, forgiven. By not just saving his family, but by literally changing the fate of an entire generation of young girls, didn't Lee prove that even the darkest past can ignite the brightest future? It's just a phenomenal story of how taking true, radical responsibility for your mistakes can actually rewrite destiny itself. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. It really leaves you wondering, what would you change if you had a second chance? Keep exploring, and I'll see you next time.